I was like, Jesus Christ, this is where this movie is going. This is freaking awesome. Hello everybody, it's Ian Lives. Welcome back to another YouTube video, another movie review, another episode of Hollow Binge. Now, it's the later end of the year, so anticipating horror movies that I've been anticipating are running low. You know, like my highest ones of the year where I saw the TV glow, Alien Romulus, Maxine, Longlegs, Lightning with the Devil, those are all over. So what's left, really, besides Terrifier 3 was Strange Darling, which is what we're going to be talking about today. Now, this movie released in limited theaters. Unfortunately, it did not hit my theaters, so I was forced to wait to VOD. This movie I was really excited for because all I knew about it was that it was a serial killer movie. I made a whole video about this, but serial killer movies are my favorite horror subgenre. I absolutely love horror movies that usually are in the POV of a serial killer. I also like the ones where you're following either the detective or the victim against the serial killer. I like those as well. Also, this had Kyle Gallner in it. Never known how to pronounce his last name. I think it's Gallner. It also has Willa Fitzgerald, which I only know her from the Scream show, which had me nervous because the acting in the Scream show, it's not good, so I was kind of nervous how good she would be in a lead role of a movie. But without further ado, we're going to start off with the plot synopsis. Basically, you follow this girl who met this guy, and she's going to have a one-night stand with him. And it turns out that he is a serial killer, and she now has to run away from him. That is all I'm going to say about the plot. This is one of those movies that I really recommend going in blind. So if you have not seen the movie and you really want to be shocked and blown away by the directions that this movie goes in, watch the movie first. Even though that this is going to be spoiler free, again, this is one of those movies that you kind of want to go into knowing as little as possible. If you don't care and you just want to hear stuff that doesn't spoil the actual plot, but you actually don't care about learning about some of the other elements of it, then I guess watch the video. But I really do recommend going into it knowing as little as possible. Starting off with my pros, this movie is told non-linear, basically meaning there is chapters in this movie. I forget the exact amount, maybe 6 chapters, something like that. But the cool thing about this movie is that it doesn't start off with chapter 1. You start on chapter 3, and then it goes to like chapter 5, then chapter 2. It's told non-linear, which is very unique, very cool. It really sucks you in and gets you interested to see what happens next. Because the movie starts off with everything really like already happening. This girl is running from this crazy dude in a truck, and you don't know what the hell is going on. And then it starts the whole chapter thing, and you're still not knowing what the hell is going on because you're jumping even more forward. So I just thought that was really cool. Eventually, when you go to chapter 1, everything starts to add up, and it's like, oh, that's really cool. I really appreciated how they told the story of this movie. I've never seen a non-linear movie, at least not that I can recall. Apparently, it's pretty artsy. It's been done before, but I guess it's very, I don't think it's been done in a thriller film. That's what people were saying. I have not seen a movie that has been told non-linear. I didn't know that was like a thing that has happened before. And I thought it was really unique and pretty groundbreaking. And it really just had me interested. Another thing I loved, the cinematography in this movie. I hate to sound like a broken record in my movie review videos, but this cinematography is breathtaking. It's really cool. There's a lot of cool painting shots. There's this shot where they show her face, and he's also in the background. It's reminiscent of that shot in Carrie. Hopefully you know what I'm talking about. There's a technical term to that shot where usually the background would be like she would be in focus, but she's not. Everything's in focus. You know that shot in Carrie where the guy's behind her. Hopefully you know what I'm talking about. There's a scene like that in here that is reminiscent to that shot, and it looked really cool. A lot of cool far away shots, panning shots, shots that show just enough to get you the idea of what's going on, which is, again, really effective. So yeah, cinematography is on point. Also, this movie is completely shot, I think they said 35 millimeter. I don't know the exact number, some sort of millimeter. So there's a lot of film grain. And I love film grain. I know people don't. There's some people that hate film grain. Can't stand it. I absolutely love it. And this kind of has the same look as Cuckoo to me. I praise this in Cuckoo, how it was so grainy, but the colors really popped. This movie is the same way. The colors in here really pop. They're really saturated. The greens are really green. And they really, really, really like the color red in this movie. And it pops so freaking much. It's eye candy. Seeing all the red coloring. There's shots where it's completely blue, it's completely red. They use color to their advantage in a very subtle way, but it's still very pop. Again, I want a 4K of this, and I want it ASAP. And again, like with Cuckoo, you wouldn't expect a movie like this to be so damn colorful. Another thing that I absolutely freaking loved, and this movie kind of relied on this, if this didn't hit, most likely the movie wouldn't hit. And that is how this movie is mainly focused on two characters throughout the entire runtime. What the hell did I say her name was? Willa Fitzgerald, I think, and Kyle Gallner. It's focused on those two characters the whole movie. They did phenomenal. They completely acted. It really worked for me, especially Willa Fitzgerald. Came out of nowhere. She did phenomenal in here. Why the hell does she not act like this in the Scream show? Beats me, but she really, really, really floored me with her performance. It was amazing. She shows so much emotion. I don't want to say too much about her character, but there's some scenes in here where you're like, holy shit, she is selling this thing, and she is really stealing the show. I mean, Kyle Gallner is an amazing actor. I've loved him over the past 2 years since his resurgence. He's been in Smile. He had a small role in Scream 5. What was that movie called where he played it was that one guy who worked at the restaurant and he came in. I forgot what that movie was called. That was a decent movie. It wasn't amazing, but he was really good in there. He's been in other stuff too recently, and he's all around been fantastic, and I've really enjoyed him. I was expecting him to take most of the scenes and really grip onto him and suck me in, but Willa Fitzgerald won me over. It's one of the best performances I've seen in a long, long time. She really won me over. Another thing I loved is, again, I'm not going to say too much, but I loved the directions this movie went in. Again, sounding like a broken record, I said this in my Cuckoo review. I love movies that really pose as something else and then completely subvert your expectations, like Barbarian, Cobweb. Those are movies I always reference when I talk about that, because especially Barbarian poses as something completely different in the first act, and then the second and third act is a completely different movie, basically. Strange Darling does that in a very, very, very cool way. It's not super unpredictable, but I wasn't expecting it, if that makes sense. I was like, Jesus Christ, this is where this movie is going. This is freaking awesome. Another thing I loved is the score and soundtrack. Most importantly, this movie has a whole original soundtrack composed by musicians, singers, original music. They have their own theme song. There's also a cover of Love Hurts, which was really good. That's kind of like the movie's main theme that plays throughout the whole thing. But also the score, the ambiance, the different doom 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 was really good, really immersive, great sound design. And again, the whole score soundtrack was very well composed and fit the movie beautifully. It really, really, really did. I'm trying to think if there's any other things that I really loved about this movie. Cons. Now, this is going to shock you guys. I really don't think there's any cons here. At all. I have one little con. There's two characters that they call mountain people in this movie. That's all I'm going to say. And they're a little too silly for me. And maybe a little too calm. I get they were trying to go for the hippie thing. Didn't completely work for me, but that's also a super slight nitpick that didn't affect my enjoyment at all. If I have to go for a con, I'm going to go for that one. This movie is perfect for me, in my opinion. I absolutely enjoyed it to death. I had, again, no issues with it. It was told perfectly. I loved how the story was told, how it was non-linear. I need to watch more movies like that because it really, it just sucked me in. How it would go from chapter 5 and then chapter 2, it was like you're piecing a puzzle together with the plot. It was really cool. And yeah, it was just, this, I'm just going to cut to the chase. Obviously, I absolutely adored I Saw the TV Glow. For many personal reasons, for many reasons. I really love that movie. I would say Strange Darling is pretty much tied with I Saw the TV Glow, but I really want to consider Strange Darling my favorite movie of the year because I enjoyed it that freaking much. This is a 5 out of 5. I loved Strange Darling. It came out of nowhere. I didn't start hearing rumblings about it until like the week that it came out. My theater had posters in the theater, but they weren't playing it. Doesn't make sense. I'm still mad that I didn't get to experience this in theaters. It would have won me over. Again, sound design was incredible, and the look of the movie was amazing. It was probably great in theaters, and the overall experience of not knowing what the hell is going to happen probably was even better in theaters. So I'm mad that I couldn't experience it in theaters. But Strange Darling, it's now on VOD. You can rent or buy it. Highly recommend doing so, or you can wait for it to hit streaming, or I think it was announced on Blu-ray, and I think in overseas foreign 4K. I could be wrong. I remember seeing that, I think. I'm probably going to buy that because I know 4K is region free, and I really want this movie on 4K because, again, the colors are going to freaking pop. I love this movie. If you guys have seen it, I want to know your thoughts. I want to know your freaking thoughts, and don't spoil, please. I don't want you ruining this for anybody. And again, one of those movies to go in blind. If you guys enjoyed the video, please subscribe, turn on the bell, follow me on Instagram at @IanLives_, and follow my Letterboxd at wehateian. I absolutely love you guys, and I will see you next time. Peace.